And you're on centralcoastradio.com, and I'm going to take a look now at a brand new Australian film that is out called The New Boy. Now, it's from Australian filmmaker Warwick Thornton, who I have been a very, very big fan of ever since Samson and Delilah came out. I had the pleasure of being one of the first people to ever see that film, and in doing so, I got to interview Warwick in person. And sitting across the table from him, I knew at that time that he was going to be a very, very special filmmaker. We had such an amazing conversation off the back of that film. It was one of those interviews where I think we recorded 10 minutes of it, and then him and I spoke for about half an hour afterwards, and you just knew that there was something special about this guy as a filmmaker. He was so creative and so honest with the stories that he wanted to tell. Since then, I've loved the other movies that he's made. Films like Sweet Country was amazing. I love the Mystery Road television series. I love Firebite as well, which he's been involved with. And he's really set himself up to be one of those filmmakers where you never know what to expect from him. He's one of those filmmakers who can make a hard-hitting drama and then can make a horror like Firebite. And it just works because he's so talented. Well, his new film, The New Boy, it kind of takes the best of all of Warwick Thornton's filmmaking abilities from the past and brings them together, because in this film we see a young boy who's only ever referred to as New Boy, played by Aswan Reed, who is taken to an orphanage that has been left in charge of with Sister Arlene, played by Kate Blanchett. Now, we learn very, very quickly that New Boy has some special abilities. He's a young Indigenous boy, and he obviously has some Indigenous magic in him. Now, the story of Sister Eileen is also interesting because the priest at this orphanage passed away, and she has assumed the role as leader and writes to the church in such a way that the priest is still alive. In fact, she signs letters using his name and things like that. The only people that know the truth are Sister Mum, another nun played by Deborah Mailman, and the handyman farmer that works at the orphanage, George, played by Wayne Blair. And because of the way that Sister Eileen runs things, they're only too happy for her to stay in charge. She doesn't abuse the children. She's kind to everybody. And she's got a really good kind of farm going that's making money for the church, so nobody asks any questions. Now, George, who is also Indigenous, very quickly realizes that there's something special about New Boy, but it almost feels like he's afraid of him. And this is where, like, I'm going to talk about how much I like this film, but there's also little parts about this film too that I felt needed a little bit more. There's not a lot of explanation into what is going on a lot of the times in this film, and George says a few times to New Boy, "I know what you are," but it's not really elaborated on to the audience. There are a lot of deep things in this film, and I know a lot of people who have gone into this film expecting it to be a film about church abuse. It's actually not. This is a film that shows how Sister Eileen and Sister Mum and George kind of help New Boy, but at the same time, there's a deeper meaning behind this film. I should say too, it's a very, very slow burn as a film. But this is a movie where Warwick Thornton has really been able to show his talents as a filmmaker. This is a remarkably beautiful film to watch. There's not only beautiful scenes of the countryside, but also scenes of inside the church and the statue of Jesus that arrives there as well. There's some brilliant shots, and it's all Warwick Thornton because he's also the cinematographer on this film as well. And I really get the feeling that this is a film that's going to do well in Europe. There's a very, very European feel to this film. I'm not surprised that the film has already done well at some of the European screenings that it's had. In fact, it was a nomination for the Uncertain Regard award at the Cannes Film Festival, and it also picked up the Best Film award at the Sydney Film Festival as well. But not surprising that it did so well at Cannes, because there is a real European feel to this film. There are lots of beautiful shots of New Boy just walking through paddocks, discovering what's around him and things like that. But I do feel that what holds this film back is there are just too many questions there. There's even scenes here where Sister Eileen is watching New Boy's reactions with the statue of Jesus, and you really have to stop and think about what is happening. If you're the kind of person that likes to go into a movie and turn their brain off and just be entertained, this is not the film for you, because this is a film that really makes you have to stop and think about what you're watching. I loved it, but I know that there'll be a lot of my friends and even family out there that won't like this film, because they won't like how much they've got to think about it. The performances in the film are amazing as well. Aswan Reed is fantastic. Seriously, the world is this kid's oyster. He is such a young, talented actor. It's going to be interesting to see where he goes from here. Cate Blanchett, people talk about her performance in Tar. Her performance here, to me, is just as powerful. Deborah Mailman, this is one of her best performances, of course, in a feature film. I loved her in shows like Secret Life of Us and things like that, but here she is just absolutely amazing. I've always been surprised that she hasn't been cast in more feature films over the years, and hopefully this film will actually put her on the map with filmmakers worldwide. Wayne Blair is amazing in this film as well. Like I said, there's a lot of touching scenes between him and New Boy, and there's a lot of scenes there that are going to leave the audience asking questions as well. Like I said, he seems to kind of get a feeling, his character George gets a feeling about what New Boy is, but it's not ever properly put to the audience. So if you are going to go and see New Boy, be prepared that this is going to be a movie that's going to make you think. It's so hard to talk about just because of that, because I did really enjoy my experience watching this film, but I'm probably not going to give it as high a score as what I'm going to give other films that come out this year, just because I feel that it doesn't give too much to it doesn't give enough to its audience. You're left asking a lot of questions. So I am going to give The New Boy 3.5 out of 5. It is an amazing film. It looks beautiful. I just wanted a little bit more out of it. It has got a general release, so it should be showing at a cinema near you. Check your local cinema guides. Go along and check out The New Boy. It's getting 3.5 out of 5 from me, and you're on centralcoastradio.com.